Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and to anyone who's watching. My name is Fern Black, and I've been looking into the huge problem of starving artist syndrome. So I've started developing a new award system for musicians to hopefully eventually be able to legalise a wage, an hourly rate for musicians. I've got in the studio today Bob and Verity, and they are from Adelaide Stixnspecs. How are you guys?
Very well,
Hi,
thank
Fern.
you, Fern.
Thanks so much for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. So I went out and saw your band the other night, and just fantastic. 7-piece, which is unusual. How
Yeah,
do you find? How are you going about setting the price for yourselves as a 7-piece? It's pretty big.
it is big, and we're a band that has 2 lead singers, so I guess that pushes the number out. So we've got bass, rhythm guitar, lead guitar, drums, keyboards. So 5-piece plus 2 lead singers. How do we have found that the only way we can make money, when I say make money, virtually make any money, is by charging at the door. And so it's then incumbent to have good advertising and a good relationship, with the venue to pull in a crowd. We take the door and the venue takes the bar. So that has been the only way we can make money. Otherwise, if we charge what we think we're worth, no one will choose a 7-piece. They will go for a DJ or something like that. So
it's interesting you said that, actually, because that's one of the problems I'm running into at the moment. So I've managed to find a way of categorizing skill level and relating it to an hourly rate. And let's say hypothetically there's 5 skill levels going from a novice up to a super pro. A super pro musician would be someone who's also got education on board, and they're a true entertainer. But that's another bit of a story we'll go into. However, so I've set up this test. Musicians would test their skills. Nobody likes doing that, but personally I think it's a small price to pay to have wages. And you can have a website with all the novices, and they're all hypothetically $30 an hour, or but the problem I'm running into now is what's going to stop the venues from going to the cheaper ones?
Well, exactly.
What's going to stop the venues going to all the novices and going, well, they're only $40 an hour or whatever. I'll go with them.
I'm interested in setting a wage, as you're suggesting. I can see that working with a soloist. What about with a 7-piece band?
I've got that mapped out, actually. I've got that mapped out. I'll come to you in a minute, Verity. Don't worry, I'm not going to sit here. I'm going to leave you just looking at us. But I've actually thought about that. So my idea is to pay every musician individually. So what happens is you guys set a skill level test, and it will be designed by the most educated possible people to make it as fair as possible. And it will look at everything like how long you've been in the industry, photos you can supply, pictures of crowds you've entertained, references, videos, and all of that. But there will be probably 2 set videos, very short ones, that would be like an audition. But you could practice it over and over and then send it through. And musicians would also have the chance to say, you know what, we're not happy with that skill level, and they can reapply for it. So in regards to a band, you've got a 7-piece. Let's simplify it. Let's say there's a 4-piece. So you might have 2 level 2s, and then you might have 2 level professionals, which is about number 3. And so you'd all know your hourly rate. You put it together. That's the minimum that the venue has to pay, and you would all get paid individually. So that stops this 5-piece band with some amateurs in it, and so I think that could work. What do you think about that?
I want to ask another question, but it's Verity's turn to talk.
You ask your question, because I might respond to that one.
How does one be assessed for entertaining? Because I have, I know a few musicians that know 4 chords and can change key by using a capo. So therefore their skill level isn't very high, and yet their entertainment score would be super high, because they
that
can
is great question. So, you know, the idea is to have a whole heap of questions so that it, you know, okay, so let's say the question, or maybe we're watching the video for entertainment value. I don't know. It's still a work in the making, but let's say hypothetically, and maybe one question's about, can you actually entertain? Or, you know, maybe we look at the video for that. Either way, it would get scored out of 1 to 10. So yes, they might fall 7 or 8 on the entertainment level, but they're going to fall flat on their skill level, their experience, probably their references, probably their pictures, probably their online stuff. So it'll actually, you know, so there'll be a lot of questions covering all areas of it. Verity, I'm just wondering, welcome, by the way. Thank you for joining. Hell of a time when this room started, didn't we? Oh, my God. And it was at my end. It was my problem.
Oh, we made it work in the end. Thank goodness.
I couldn't believe it. Verity, have you had anything to do? So just for those watching, Verity is actually front singer of the band, saying that I think I've actually seen you guys do 4-part harmonies. Am I right?
Yes, so we all sing, which is fantastic when we're performing.
Yeah. And you yourself, Verity.
So Verity is also a musician and an entertainer in her own right, and also works with another guy in a duet or sometimes big band scenario. So she's got plenty of entertainment value.
Verity, you are amazing. There's no doubt about it. You know, I mean, I love your moves. She's got a lot of dance moves on stage, and we're all copying it while we're dancing. It was so much fun. But not only that, Verity, I mean, you're a true entertainer. You're not just sitting there singing, going, I've got a good voice. I actually went and saw a band. I won't say when, but it was recent, in the last couple of days. And, you know, the singer had a great voice. And he thought that. He didn't have much entertainment value. He was too into himself. So, yeah, nice work, Verity. I really value entertainment, as, you know, because I'm a big entertainer myself. I get him in with my personality before I could even sing. I can kind of get a room singing along within a minute, you know, just from my friendliness. But so, Verity, have you had anything to do with the pricing of the band? Do you have any input with that as the main singer?
It's a really tricky one, because we as a band have had this discussion quite a few times, and it's quite challenging when, you know, people just want to play. We want to play and we want to sing and do music. But at the same time, you also want to be able to charge something that honors who you are and what you bring to the space, because you've also got the issue of going, well, if we don't charge what recognises our skill and performance level, then how does that impact other bands when they want to book? Does that then bring down the general pricing for all bands? But at the same time, you don't want to miss out on performing. So it's really tricky, you know, to be recognised as a musician.
It is very, very tricky. And it's interesting because, you know, some bands have said to me, you know, I actually saw one musician literally go into shock over me recommending what I was doing. And he was saying, oh, no, I'm all right. I'm making enough money. I've brought up my family that way. So there was 2 really good lessons out of that. One was, what I'm proposing to do is going to change a lot of lives. No doubt about it if it goes through. So I think personally for the better. Secondly, I think it's usually the more established musicians, like us old people, Bob, you know what I mean? You know, who tend to get a bit stubborn, and we don't want to see changes, you know. But oddly, musicians hate not getting money as well. So what I'm trying to do is put a plan together that is good for everyone. It's good for the venue. It's good for the musician. It's good for society. And how great would it to know your exact wage, and venues know they can't get past that, and actually get paid after every gig, whether it be a 3-hour gig or a residency. It'd be pretty good.
Something that Verity said, if you don't value yourself, you can't expect your client to value you. So if you're charging something really, really cheap, it virtually says, we don't value ourselves and what we're worth and the amount of time we put in. I'm sure you've seen the Facebook posts or been around social media. When you're hiring a musician, you're not just hiring a musician for 3 hours. You're hiring a musician. You're hiring the many, many, many hours spent practicing, rehearsing, getting gear together, buying gear, setting up, packing up afterwards, traveling,
losing gear, having to buy it again,
stolen even,
I actually was, sorry to interrupt, but I was actually at a gig once, where as I'm leaving the gig, I'm putting my gear away in the car, and as I was coming back in, someone walked right past me with my microphone stand and microphone, and I'm like, "Whoa, that's mine!"
And you've got it.
Goodness.
Well, we've had stuff go missing. Yeah, I had a whole
bit
bag
of alcohol, Verity. I think a little bit of alcohol involved.
Yes, I can imagine. Oh, God.
So, Verity, you seem to have a nice view of, and actually you both do. You have a really good view of the situation. The current situation has no boundaries. There's nothing regulated whatsoever. Nobody knows what to ask for. I haven't done gigs for ages. I mean, firstly, because I've got involved in this, but secondly, I don't even know where to start with my price these days. And venues are getting away with a lot. Saying that, though, we need venues. We have to have them happy as well. And it'll be interesting when I start interviewing them.
Yeah,
exactly.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Because obviously they want to make they want to make money. That's why they're.
I know. And this is the problem, right? They want to make money. We want to get paid.
Yeah.
And it's a total clash against each other's interests. They would probably be happy to walk in and see a level 1 in there who's crap, but somehow is holding people there. You beauty, I'm making money,
So this coming Saturday, am I allowed to say where we're playing?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, we're playing at Music at Moe's, which is the Moana Surf Lifesaving Club. We start from 7 until 11.
Moana? Are you in Coffs Harbour?
No, Moana, just down here.
Moana. Oh, because there's the Hoey Moe. There's the Hoey Moe.
Yeah.
That's at Coffs Harbour.
Yes, and I met with the venue manager today. Lovely, lovely guy, and they want to really start having bands and music playing regularly, which I think is fantastic. So we're starting off, but when they've had bands in the past, I asked him. I said, "How much would you turn over at the bar?" And he said, 10 grand. So
on the night?
On the night.
Yeah.
10 grand. And
what are you getting?
Well, if we get the door, and let's say we get 150 people in, we get 1,500. So
what's that each? Well, I'm not good at maths.
Well, 7's into 1,500 is 200, and
couple of hundred. That's quite reasonable. Is that quite reasonable?
If we were to get $200 each, we would think that was a win.
Yes.
But if you broke it down to,
isn't that sad? It's actually quite sad.
I know. Yes.
That's the sad thing about musicians is any money's a win.
Exactly right. But I'll be getting there at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I won't get home until after 12. Okay, so that's 8 hours. 8 hours for $200. That's not.
I know.
A lot.
Unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever be able to pay for that because it's the venues are just paying you to play.
Yes, so that's exactly right. And so we're not complaining about.
We regularised it. There's no way we could monitor. You could say, "Well, I practice for 5 hours." I'll go, "Yeah, all right. Well, I practice for 7."
Oh, yeah.
Do what we can to get more money. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. So, yeah, that's a reasonable wage. Good on them. Good on the
But
hoies.
it's not a bad. Well, the wages, we are charging the tickets and taking the door, and we're providing. I've got to pay my daughters to sit there and take the money for us, so we actually lose out there. But it's not a bad investment. They're not putting up anything, and they're making 10 grand. All they're providing is the venue for us, and we're doing everything else.
Well, of course, in their defence, they've got to pay their staff. And
No, that wasn't an attack. I'm just saying, if more venues were doing similar, there would be more places to play for more musicians.
Yes.
And the outlay for them isn't a great deal. In fact, it's just making the venue available.
Yeah.
And they make a winning on the bar. Yeah.
You know what, though? There's such a big difference in skill levels, though, because like you guys are, I find you to be very professional and definitely hold a crowd, no doubt about it, and pull crowds in, I'm saying. I mean, us girls are lined up ready to come and see you again. So, and I think, if people... people say, well, Fern, that system could work. However, everyone's going to pick the lower waged ones. But isn't it like that in life? Don't we pay for what level of secretary we want, or what level of... I don't know. I mean, I think this skill classification thing goes on in most jobs, not tradespersons, but like paid jobs. Are you working through the day, you two? Yeah, so you, Verity, are you paid at a certain level for your skill level?
Yeah, that's right. So the more, and that's interesting, isn't it? The more experience and training you have.
But then it makes it, but then the better you get at it, you get too expensive for people. So they'll naturally go to that lower price, unless you've stuck by a great company and they're supporting and everything. And so I kind of think part of that problem is actually quite natural. Well, I don't know.
Not necessarily, Fern. If the Zep boys you mentioned earlier, they would be pulling a bigger crowd. So they're more professional, bigger name. They pull a bigger crowd. They expect to get a bigger cut, a bigger salary.
Yeah.
So, because the more professional you become, it doesn't necessarily mean that venues will opt out of hiring you, because
not at the moment. There's no givens for anything at the moment. You could talk someone into giving you a gig with your first ever gig. It's just, and then you've got all these open mics, which I do like going to for my social aspect, and karaoke's. And later on, I'm hoping this. It's called the Freelance Award. Hopefully later, once I map out all the problems out of it, later on, hopefully it will extend to those people that run the open mics and the karaoke's and all that sort of stuff. So Verity, do you play an instrument at all?
I do. I play the flute and also the guitar.
Oh, so have you done any solo work?
Yes, I have got a couple of albums that I've recorded over the years.
Oh, but have you done solo work around the pubs?
Not around the pubs myself. So I've done more conferences and churches and things like that. But I haven't. I actually haven't done it. I've done duets in pubs rather than solo work.
And how have you found trying to get the right money in general?
I find that duet-wise, particularly since COVID, is a lot easier for getting gigs and money. It's almost like venues have a particular amount of money that they're willing to spend on entertainment, which, from what I understand, they're less inclined. Yeah, they're less inclined to want to spend it on a whole band, because that will require they spend more money than paying for a duet. So I think there's more opportunities for duets at the moment. More duets. Yeah.
There's always been more work for soloists on a soloist. Again, because they think it's cheaper, but it's really not. Because as a solo, if I was out there getting a gig now, I'd want minimum $350 for 3 hours, something like that. And what's a duo? Not far off that, maybe $450 or something. I don't know, but all I know is there's a natural process where people like surgeons, if you go to a surgeon, you want the best. You want the best surgeon, and they're going to cost a lot more. I mean, we're going to get the same in the music industry if this award's created. But if you've got a website with, I mean, there's something like a minimum of 260,000 musicians, only the ones on the books in Australia. 260,000. Can you imagine the increased taxes for the government? How good it would be for the economy. Everybody, even starting out, would go, oh, I'm going to sit the skills test. I'm going to get my first level. People every year can aim up a level. They can aim up to the next pay level. I've just got to solve the problem of people not wanting to grab the cheapest ones. And if you've got any solutions to that, because it's kind of stumped me a bit. I've got yeah.
Well, that's where you have to have the balance between entertainment value and skill.
And what school?
And skill.
Oh, skill. Yeah.
So it has to be, a good balance, because a band like us could be fantastically entertaining.
You are.
Yeah, well, thank you. So, there has to be a high...
I'm not arguing with you on here.
No. But if it's just based, it can't just be based on skill and a skills test. There has to be the entertainment side of it.
Well, that'll be in the skills test.
Yeah, which would have to be weighted in some way.
Yes, it needs to be mapped out. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. There's no point in developing the skills test unless I know people want this idea.
Sorry, Fern.
That's okay, love.
No, I was saying I've seen bands, and musically they sound great, but after 3 or 4 songs, I leave. Because there's nothing happening on stage.
Yeah, there's no connection to the audience.
Watching people play music, whereas they're not drawing you in. They might be brilliant musicians, but you've got to be drawn in. So anyway,
look, was it you guys? I don't think so. I've been going out every night. I'm surprised I'm still talking at this stage. I'm not sure if it was you guys, but there was a band up last week. Fantastic at I won't say where they were playing, but they were absolutely fantastic, except the dance floor was empty. And I looked at my friend next to me and I said, why is the dance floor empty? And she's like, oh, I don't know, maybe they haven't drunk enough. And I said, no, the band has not said hello to the audience. They've not communicated with the audience at all in any way. So I approached the band about doing an interview, and I couldn't shut my mouth. I said, you're so great. You just need one thing. Just talk to the audience. He goes, thank you very much for the advice. We're going to do that. Well, blow me down. They go back the next set. Soon as they say hello to the audience, dance floor's packed for the rest of the night. I'm like, okay, that worked. Okay. So
sometimes you need a party starter. People can be very reluctant to get up. Doesn't matter how good, how inviting you are. You need the one person who doesn't have the fear of being embarrassed as being the first person up. One of the wives of our lead guitarist, his only wife, his wife will get up no matter what and dances. And once she gets up, others are drawn out. So you just need the first person. So
to be brave.
Yeah, while the band can, implore and welcome and have a great rapport, it's other people's possible fear of being embarrassed or, being self-conscious or whatever. We can't.
Well, that's where Verity comes in, isn't it? I mean, because Verity's not scared to let go of self. And I have to say, Bob, you have an amazing way on stage. For those that are watching this, Bob kind of looks a little bit like Joe Cocker. He kind of does this
I think you've got my brother.
Oh, is it Andrew? That's Andrew.
That's my brother, yes.
Oh, is that your brother doing that?
Brother, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He's pretty incredible with those movements. So sorry, Bob, what part of the band are you?
I play guitar. I'm the good looking one on Verity.
He's on my right.
On Verity's right, playing guitar. It's looking really cool.
Well, your brother does a great job. A great job. So look, I have to wind up. Sorry.
I was just to say,
so I have to start.
Verity bounce off each other so well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and your brother looks a lot like you.
That's unfortunate. It's fortunate for him, isn't it? Unfortunate for me.
So let me just ask you a couple of quick questions just before we wind up. Would you like an hourly rate?
Yeah, as long as we're getting work, yeah.
Okay. Nice. That's a good start. How do you feel about being skill level tested, which is the most debatable part of this?
Like I said, this is for me. Verity should answer. Go on.
No, you need to go first.
I was going to say, yes, skill balanced with entertainment value. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And look, you won't be able to get up the level without that entertainment value. You won't get past a professional. So there's 5 levels. So you've got your novice, your I can't remember what the levels are. You've got your novice, then you've got your there's 1, and then there's professional, then there's session standard, and there's your pro 5. So I would probably come under session standard. I can literally sit with, and I would have to prove my skill level as well, like anybody, unless I get rich from running this. If I don't, I need to work. So, so I would probably come under the session standard. It depends on how much we bring education into that part of it. But look, thanks so much, Verity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for being persistent and finally getting it working.
Well, thank you. I couldn't believe I saw a little cross on my microphone. I'm like, where did that come from? So, wish me luck with mine.
I do wish you luck, and thank you for coming to see us at the gig. It was great.
Where's your next gig? Where's your next gig?
Moana Surf Lifesaving Club next Saturday night, which is the 8th of July. 8th of July.
Oh, well, you may even see me there.
It'd be lovely. Come for a dance.
Apparently, that's what I like to do. All right, guys. Well, thanks again. I really value your input. Do I have permission to share this online and cut it up a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah, just take all the bits of me looking silly and sounding stupid out. Verity's.
But then I'd have to take it all out, Bob.
Fair enough. just leave Verity's bits in.
I'll try and rally up some people for next Saturday. So it's the Moana. Right. Did you say Moana?
Moana Surf Lifesaving
Club. The surf club. Yeah, that's a good place. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much. If you're kind of turning this in your head later and you think, I know how Fern could stop that problem, feel free to, let me know. Thanks so much. I'm going to, take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.